Do you want to retire, but you just don't know how you'll fill your time? We've got a special guest to help you find joy in retirement next on Retiring Today. Welcome to Retiring Today. I am Molly Nelson here with Chawn Honkomp and Lisa Even. Chawn is a certified financial planner, a certified financial fiduciary, and a retirement income certified professional. He's also a CPA. And this is Lisa Even. Lisa is a speaker, a coach, and a joy connoisseur. And you are in for a real treat today because she's got a lot of insight into finding joy in retirement. Lisa, you have literally made joy your job.
I know. I feel so lucky to say that. Oftentimes people are like, what? Like, I know. And so really it comes down to being able to speak to teams and audiences like this group, really about, are you waiting for joy to find you? Or are you finding it? And really thinking about how do you do that, whether it's, oh, I've got too much time or not enough. It's like through all these seasons of our lives, are you making it your job? And that's what my husband and I did a couple of years ago. We really said, I really would like to make joy our job, because we're not.
And now you travel the world, you talk to people about making joy their job, and you've done just that with the families and individuals that we work with at Merkle Retirement Planning. It's been great because Lisa's come in for some lunch and learns and some of our lifestyle events, and she's helped them kind of look at joy differently in retirement and in that phase of life. And Chawn, it's been really great.
The families that have been a part of those events have just given us really great feedback. It's just a little different sense. It's not all about this financial aspect of retiring, and it really ties into the lifestyle part of our plan. And that's often where we start the conversations with the families we're meeting with, is about that lifestyle, because that lifestyle drives what people are going to spend, where they're going to spend their time, and what that retirement vision potentially looks like.
So what we want to help you do today is dream about joy in retirement. Lisa is here to talk about the process and how it works. Chawn, it really ties in well too, because you alluded to it, but literally in some of the first visits you have with people when they're like, I want to retire, you don't talk about how much is in their 401k. You don't talk about necessarily right away, their tax picture. You say, what do you want to do in retirement? And sometimes, Chawn, people have a very clear vision, and other times they're like, I just don't know.
There is a lot of variety out there for people. We know that this is a new stage of life, and it isn't just set in stone. It isn't the same for everybody. And these conversations get to be wide open. So a lot of this is talking about goals, right? Dreaming, trying to vision trying to paint maybe what that retirement vision is going to look like for you. So we know that those initial conversations, it's not all about the money. Eventually we're going to get there, right? We need the money to be able to afford the lifestyle that you want to lead. So the conversations often are talking about goals, certain ages. When do people want to retire? Are they going to move? Do they want to travel? What kind of travel? So there's so many wide open conversations that are a big part of that initial building that relationship.
And Lisa, it doesn't just happen to you, right? You have to go out and get it. Just like you and your husband had to work joy into your schedule. The takeaway for anybody watching is that this takes a little bit of work, but it pays off in the end.
It does. And one of my favorite stories was at the end of our last Lunch and Learn, we had a person walk up to me and he looked at me and he goes, I worked all those years. And a little part of me was like, yeah. Yes. Thinking what are you going to say? Because we had just talked about joy, and he goes, yeah, I think I need to make joy my job. All of the energy that I would have put to my work world, I can move that over into my retired world. And I was like, yes, that's exactly right. That there is a little bit of energy that you've got to spend thinking about, okay, what does that look like now that maybe my circumstances changed, like I'm retired, and even some preferences. Over time, your preferences change and you're like, I don't know if that's what I want to do for joy. So that was probably my favorite moment where I was like, you got it.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say, there's so many times these conversations I've had with so many families we work with, we talk about not deferring that joy.
Yeah.
You think about money and cash flow, and while you're working, you've got to spend some of it to enjoy that lifestyle. Now you've got to set some aside for that future retirement stage of life, but you don't want to defer all that joy. We need to start having fun now.
I love the word defer. I'm going to have to probably incorporate that, because it's exactly right. If you wait for the perfect moment, it will pass you by. And I think that's the thing that my husband and I were realizing when we were sitting on the couch. I'm like, we were waiting for our kids to sleep through the night and for that promotion and for all the things. And I can just imagine that, there will never come a perfect exact time to have it. So yeah, don't defer it. I love that.
Let's talk about some of the barriers to joy, though, because that is real. And that's something that you tackle head on, because you know a lot of times people know they want joy. They can see that it's something that they want, like retirement, but they still just don't know how to get there. So what are some of the barriers maybe that someone thinking about retirement might face?
I think some of the main barriers are, number one, now they have an abundance of time. Even watching my parents retire, it's like, it's awesome. And it's a little bit like, oh, I'm in charge of a lot of time. And I think that sometimes when you're given too much of something, it creates problems too. So I often will say that if you can start to look at joy in bite-sized ways, that time barrier feels easier. If you've got something blocked in and you're like, okay, I have something here and I have something there. I think the other one is money. And I love that you're helping people think about that before they retire, because oftentimes I catch myself as someone not retired saying, oh, well, I don't have the money. Or, oh, I shouldn't spend that. And so that money piece, there's a ton of things you can do for free joy. And then also just when you get to that point, be thinking about, where am I going to put my money so that I have joy? I think there's kind of that, like, what if you don't have any money to spend? And also, if you did, what would you do? Because oftentimes I'll hear people say, well, I'll just keep working. Like, I don't know what I would do with my time. Or I don't have the money. And I'm like, oh, time and money, like, you can still have joy. It's an and conversation, not an or.
Yeah, and you guys call it an income pillar of our 6 pillars, but really, what if you thought about it as a permission to spend for joy pillar? Because really what that income pillar does is it shows people what they've got saved, and it takes it and shows them how they can spend it all the way through retirement. So I'm thinking that that's permission to have that joy and to spend.
I get to live this, our entire team gets to live this every day, and I almost feel like it's a necessity. How would you have that confidence of knowing what you want to spend, which is one? You all have a certain lifestyle that's going to require a certain amount of income and cash flow every month. But without that plan, you're going to feel uneasy because this retirement stage of life is new. I know a lot of you don't feel as confident once you start spending all of your money instead of the paycheck that's coming from somebody else. It feels a little uncertain. So having that plan, and oftentimes a lot of conversations we see is that once you have that written out plan, you can see that you can confidently take your lifestyle from here up to here. And you know that now you have that space for more joy, and you have confidence to go spend even more than what you need. So let's raise that, quality of life in retirement.
And let's drill down a little on the plan, because it doesn't just show you what a year's worth of spending will look like or 2 years. It takes people out to, you project to about age 90 with most people, right?
Yep, even beyond. So part of the part of building that plan is to have the long-term plan.
Yeah.
Right? So all of you are in a pre-retirement stage of life or even already retired, and you want to see and want to know what things could look like 10 years from now, 20, 30, and 40 years from now for a lot of people. So that's where you need that long-term plan to feel confident that you can continue to afford the lifestyle, and you feel confident that you're not going to run out of money before you run out of time.
And Chawn is talking about writing things down, and we're going to give people some real good action steps here coming up. But you know the importance of not only dreaming about joy, talking about joy, but writing down what you want to do.
Yeah, I think for us, at least, until we wrote it down and said, hey, here's our list, here's where we're putting joy, and actually looking at the calendar, it didn't happen. And so it was like the permission piece of, once we created some of that structure of just going through the motions of, well, what would it look like? Similar to your financial plan of like, what would it look like? If you skip that step, you don't do it. And so it's really important to get it written down. My parents have theirs like on the refrigerator, and we'll talk more. We have ours on like our electronic calendar. Planning your joy is perfectly fine. Like, people are like, oh, so you plan it? I'm like, yes, we want to make sure it happens. And if we get some just like ad hoc random fun things in there too, like, yes, please, we'll take both.
We'll continue talking about how to plan for joy in retirement, but first we're going to answer some questions from our online Journey to Retirement workshop next.
You dream of a happy retirement, but there are some big questions to answer first. Do I have enough saved? When should I take Social Security? How will I pay for health care and keep up with inflation? Go to merkleretire.com to schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call to talk directly with a retirement planner and get answers to your important retirement questions. The first step to your retirement starts with a 15-minute retirement checkup call.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.
The Merkle Retirement Planning Team provides personable and professional expertise unrivaled in this area. They include us in every step of the planning process. The peace of mind provided to us by the Merkle team allows us to fully enjoy this special time of our lives. Instead of feeling snakebit, we feel confident that with the Merkle Retirement Planning Team at our sides, we can navigate any challenge that comes our way.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. Now it's time for Your Journey, Your Questions. This is when we answer questions that we've received from you during our online Journey to Retirement workshop. We got this question recently from Jeff. Jeff wants to know, how long does one need to wait to withdraw after depositing into a Roth? I'm here with Chawn Honkomp. And Chawn, what would you tell Jeff?
Jeff can always get right to his money at any time, but really what Jeff wants to do is ensure that he's avoiding the potential penalty, and the taxes, because that's why we use Roth IRAs to begin with. And really there's two different ways that you can get money into a Roth, and when you can get to those dollars differs. So we want to make sure we understand that. One way to get money into a Roth is to do contributions. That's where you're going to take money right from your checking account and make that annual contribution up to those IRS limits. A second way that you can get money into a Roth is through Roth conversions, and that's where you're taking money from a pre-tax IRA and converting that over to a Roth IRA. With contributions, if you took, for example, if Jeff put $5,000 into his Roth IRA from his bank account, he could turn right around tomorrow and take that $5,000 out, no penalty, no taxes, no interest or anything to worry about. It's different with the Roth conversions. You may or may not be able to turn right around tomorrow and get that money out. That's where there's some 5-year rules that come into play. Age 59 and a half is part of this whole scenario. So there are some complexities around the Roth vehicles, and you do want to make sure you do them right, because the reason you're using the Roth IRA is to take advantage of tax-free distributions and avoiding the penalties. So make sure you feel really confident about the approach and the decisions you're doing. And if not, I would certainly recommend working with a professional.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules. You brought in a paper, you showed it to me, and I was like, we're not going to read all those rules off, but you definitely want to work with someone who knows the rules. So I think the reason Jeff probably asked this question is because in the online Journey to Retirement workshop, John and Sue, they're a couple, they're a hypothetical couple, they're the stars of the workshop. They're getting ready to retire. They state their goals. And then in the workshop, you help them with a long-term tax plan. Roth conversions are part of it. And a lot of times it's a part of a lot of retirement plans because that Roth money is so valuable in retirement.
Having a long-term tax plan as part of a comprehensive retirement plan is extremely valuable, because if we can help you minimize your tax bill throughout your retirement journey, that's more money in your pocket and more money that people get to spend. And people have way more control of their tax plan than what they realize. When you're working in those accumulating stage of life where you're saving money, you just kind of tend to go along. We just get our paycheck and our gross taxable income ends up being what it is. In retirement, now we have more control. You can take distributions from where you want to. We can use these different accounts. And now you can be that much more intentional about what you want your taxable income to be, so that if you have favorable opportunities to use the Roth, to do Roth conversions, that's something that people want to be aware of each and every year to try to help save money throughout their retirement journey.
And if you watch the online Journey to Retirement workshop, not only will you meet John and Sue, you'll see Chawn on there too. And Chawn, you go through the Roth conversion with John and Sue, you show people what it's all about, you talk about some of the rules, and then I'm going to give away a little bit of the fun part of this. They save almost 6 figures on their tax bill because of the Roth conversion?
Not uncommon as we build these plans and show people about a 20 or 30 or 40-year retirement journey, that you could potentially save more than 6 figures on your total tax bill. And you're going to want to start having that tax plan right now. Tax rates are historically low. We like to say they're on sale. Most people don't feel that way. Nobody wants to pay more taxes than you have to. But right now, if you look at the federal tax rates, they are in our favor. And in only 2 short years, in 2026, these rates are set to go up. So right now, it is extremely important to be thinking about taxes, have that tax plan, and try to pay the least amount of tax bill possible.
Okay, so I gave away a little bit of the ending on the tax portion of the online Journey to Retirement workshop, but don't worry. There are 5 other aspects that we talk about within that Journey to Retirement workshop, and you want to see how John and Sue elect Social Security. That is a powerful decision that they make, and they get some $93,000 extra dollars out of Social Security. And then there's also a lot of talk about healthcare, legacy planning, and much more. You can sign up for the online Journey to Retirement workshop, meet John and Sue, and see how they make all of these retirement decisions by going to retirewithmerkle.com, or you can use the QR code that's on your screen right now. Once you get there, you can choose a time and a date that works for you, and you can sign up for your online Journey to Retirement workshop. Chawn, who should sign up?
If anybody who's age 57 and beyond, it's the perfect fit for you. You're in that pre-retirement stage of life, or maybe you're already retired, but you know that you're facing way more decisions and questions that you've never had to address before. It's a different stage of life. And going through this process, attending the Journey to Retirement workshop, you're going to feel that much more confident. You know, we've been focusing so much more on joy today in today's episode. I can tell you that having that plan, feeling confident about your lifestyle and your spending, that's going to bring you joy. Paying less money to the IRS during your retirement, everybody's going to think that's bringing them joy. So take some time. It's going to be a very valuable part. It's going to help you feel more confident about your retirement planning. So get started.
Go to retirewithmerkle.com to sign up for our online Journey to Retirement workshop.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.
Anytime I have even the smallest question about my accounts or what effect the latest tax law might have on my situation, the Merkle Retirement Planning Team is always there and quick to help. I'm so glad they treat you like family. I'm so happy to have such an excellent team working for my future and ensuring I do the best to achieve my financial goals.
Merkle Retirement Planning. Your retirement starts here.
Do you wonder if you have enough saved for retirement? Will your money last as long as you do? Will taxes, healthcare costs, and inflation derail your retirement? Get answers. Schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call today. We can cover a lot in 15 minutes, including strategies you can implement now to start your retirement journey. Schedule a call at merkleretire.com. The first step to a confident retirement starts with a simple phone call.
Welcome back to Retiring Today. I'm Molly Nelson with Chawn Honkomp and special guest Lisa Even. She's a speaker, author, coach, and Joy Connoisseur. We're having a lot of fun talking about joy in retirement. Chawn, I think what's really neat about Merkle Retirement Planning is not only do the retirement planners help people get financially ready for retirement, they help them get emotionally ready for retirement as well.
Yeah, very few advisors focus on that. And we know when it comes to making that retirement decision, you're going to want to feel both emotionally ready and financially ready. And that emotionally ready, it's hard to measure that, but it takes some work. It takes some intention and purpose. You know, in a visit, just in the last week or two, we were having a review visit with a couple. And I mentioned this, how again, we've got to be emotionally and financially ready at the time of retirement and then continue to do that through your retirement journey. And the wife cut me off what I was saying. She's like, you don't realize how important that is. And she was specifically talking about the emotionally ready. The financial side of it is nice, but you've got this mindset, you've got a new stage of life, you've got to be emotionally prepared and planned for retirement as well.
And emotionally prepared and planned no matter how much you have saved for retirement, because joy can be expensive. I'm thinking big picture, but joy can also be cheap, but it's more about being intentional with it.
Yeah, and I think we were just talking a little bit before about permission, and I think that the combination of being emotionally ready and permission is key. Because if you don't have it, you're going to almost push it away like, nope, I can't have joy. And you're going to be finding things to kind of be like, well, I shouldn't. And that's what I often see with even friends or family members, especially like as we watch parents and relatives retire. It's so interesting to watch like who has given themselves permission to have joy and who is still in that, well, I don't know, like maybe we should wait. And it's kind of a fun thing because as people hear about what I do, they're like, oh, well, how do I do that? And then I have the same conversation of like a little bit of like, well, first off, it's permission. And then second off, you have to believe that it can actually happen. And then third, it's like, okay, let's get to it. What does joy look like? And some people are like, well, I haven't had joy for 40 years. And it's like a weird thing to hear, but they're like, it was never a priority. I'm like, oh, but it is now.
So one way to give yourself permission for joy in retirement is a joy calendar. Let's talk about that process. It starts first with a joy list.
It does. And so my husband and I, just a quick story, when we decided to make joy our job, one of the things that I said to him is, I want you to hang a whiteboard in our bedroom. And he looked at me, he's like, people don't have whiteboards in their bedrooms. And I'm like, we do. And I was like, we do. And so I had him hang it and I said, I want to make a list of things that we used to do, that we want to do, and the things that we just hear about. Because when you start to like tune into joy, you start to hear people saying, oh, I'm going to a Cubs game, or oh, I'm like, add that one to the list, right? And so that's really where it starts, is I say, get a list together, whether it's a whiteboard in your bedroom, or maybe it's on your refrigerator or in your phone. But really, what are some of those things that you used to do, you want to do, you're hearing about? Because that list becomes the launching point for everything. It's just like having a plan and starting to like measure it out. That's where it starts.
Are you envisioning your joy list here, Shawn?
I need to work on it.
I know.
It needs a little bit more
He's
focus.
a Dodgers fan, so we should go to a Cubs-Dodgers game.
Yeah.
Okay, so thinking of couples here, should they do separate joy lists? Should they work on it together? What do you recommend?
So I've seen both, and my husband and I we started together. We just said, okay, we need a list. I've got friends that do a list together and a list separate, because when you start talking about joy, even with my husband, I'm like, oh, that doesn't bring me joy. It's like I need to carve out a little time for myself for the joy I like. I want some time together. And then of course, like I want him to go and do his. So if anything, start with one of those, whether it's you or a together, because that's going to be kind of get your brain almost giving yourself the permission to be like, oh, so we could do that. And oftentimes we find ourselves being like, well, what excuse do I have? I don't have one. We should. And then before you know it, you'll be putting it actually on the calendar. But that list is the key.
Start with the list, and then next step, get the calendar out, start penciling it in, time, date. I mean, that's important. That's the important next step.
It is. And if you say to yourself, well, I don't know, I always say, at least put it somewhere so you can check it off the list. My parents just got their calendar going because my dad retired, and it's really fun to see him being like, putting things into his phone. I'm like, look at you. Okay. I've got other people who are like, I still use paper and pen. And then I've got some people who are like, oh, I just take the list and I say, okay, we're doing it on Friday. And I'm like, yep, however it happens, it needs to go from point A to point B, because you're going to be there on like a Friday night saying, hey, where do you want to go to dinner? I don't know. Where do you want to go? I don't know. And then before you know it, you're like, should we stay in? Should we not have
and
joy?
And then you don't go.
And then you don't do it.
You just mindlessly watch television. Yeah. And you could have gone out and had a new experience or a different experience. Yeah, I see the value in that. Do some people, when you start with the joy list, do they say, oh, I'm not creative enough, I can't think of anything? Do you find that?
They do. And I often say a couple things. Number one, if you've got grandkids or even kids, I often say they know joy. So ask them. Like, one of the first things that we did is we put a piece of paper in front of our kids and we're like, what would you do for joy? Because we wanted to see if it worked for them. And they were like, going crazy, on their list. And then we did the same with like our grandparents. I'm like, okay, what do you guys do for joy? And it was funny because my parents had 3 things and my kids had 30. And so it's like, start with kids if you've got them nearby because they know how to have joy. And then I also will say, like, the internet has great things. I've got some joy ideas. And if anything, if you can get 1 or 2 before you know it, it's like, when you buy a red car and then you see them everywhere, it's kind of like that. You start to hear and see things where someone says, oh, we had a card party the other weekend. And you're like, card party, adding that one to the list.
Yeah, you get ideas from other people. So people can make the list, Chawn, then they come to you, they show you the list, and you say, yep, here's how we're going to pay for it. Right? See how this can work?
And that's why we start here first, because we want to have that vision painted, and now we incorporate this into your financial plan. Let's know what you want to do. What do what's it going to cost to have the lifestyle that you want to have? What are some of these goals, right? Some of these over the moon goals that maybe you are a little nervous because you're newly into retirement, but let's aim high. Let's set these high goals. And I love what you're saying, Lisa, because you've got to be intentional about this. Does anybody ever out there say they're not busy? Every stage of life keeps us busy. You're going to wait till the kids start sleeping through. I've got a daughter that's just graduated high school. I can't wait anymore. So people have to be intentional and stop and think about what does truly bring them joy in their day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a small, medium, big, right? Like we've got things on our joy list that take 30 minutes or $30. And we've got things on our joy list that I'm like, should we travel the world? And then it's like, okay, now I'm circling back to be like, if we were to dream about this, like how could we do it? And I think that sometimes we feel like it's all or nothing. I'm like, no, we've got like small, medium, and large joy pieces in our joy calendar. And you would never know it. Like no one knows that sometimes our joy is a picnic in our backyard. And we're like, oh, we just moved the food from over there to over here.
But it's a fun memory.
Yeah.
Lisa, you've got some great resources, including your book, Joy is My Job. It's up right now for people to look at on the screen. Joy is My Job by Lisa Even. And you've got a website, lisaeven.com. People should definitely check those out for more information.
Absolutely. And there's some joy ideas on there. And then there's a contact me if you're like, I need some joy ideas. I often will get someone be like, hey, I need one. And I'm like, here you go. So.
Lisa, those are great resources to help people find joy in their everyday lives and joy in retirement. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you.
This is Retiring Today, and we thank you for watching.
Do I have enough saved for retirement? When should I take Social Security? Which Medicare option is best? How do I plan for inflation? Sometimes the road to retirement starts with more questions than answers. We're here to help. Join us for our upcoming Journey to Retirement workshop. Get answers and start your retirement journey with confidence. Our online workshop includes information on Secure Act 2.0 and changing retirement rules. Visit retirewithmerkle.com to register for an upcoming workshop. Your retirement journey starts now.
You dream of a happy retirement, but there are some big questions to answer first. Do I have enough saved? When should I take Social Security? How will I pay for health care and keep up with inflation? Go to merkleretire.com to schedule a 15-minute retirement checkup call to talk directly with a retirement planner and get answers to your important retirement questions. The first step to your retirement starts with a 15-minute retirement checkup call.